Welcome back to Puerto Rico Life. My name is Jeff, and as many of you may or may not know, I spend about half my time in Puerto Rico and about half my time in Chattanooga right now. Books behind me. That was a dead giveaway that I am in my apartment in Chattanooga because I didn't take all of my books to Puerto Rico. But anyway, so I'm in Chattanooga right now, and I am heading to Puerto Rico, and I'm going to document my journey to Puerto Rico so we can see that. And then we're going to do a big rum tour birthday party celebration tomorrow on Saturday. It's Friday, April 26th today. Tomorrow we're going to do the big celebration of my 46th birthday, halfway to 92. Halfway to 92 tomorrow. So anyway, tomorrow, birthday party, and all the rum tour, all that is going to be packed into this video. I hope you enjoy. I can't wait to share it all with you. It's going to be so fun. Here we are on the jet bridge, going down to our plane. Say hi to everyone, Tekoa.
This train is stopping. Please collect your belongings and watch your step as you exit.
All right, we made it to Atlanta. We have a little layover here. So, you know, might as well enjoy. The Centurion Lounge is sick. Look at that. It's my friend John. John's been in the scooter video with me, so you might have seen him before. But we're boarding the plane here in Atlanta. Got delayed slightly on boarding, but we're boarding, and we got a last minute first class upgrade, so that's a win. Front seat on the plane, and I'm here. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me or not because it's loud, but we're 15 minutes from landing, and I'm excited. I'm going to do a little pre-drinking tonight, and then we're doing the rum tour tomorrow. Well, we made it safely to San Juan. It is 11:03 p.m., only 57 minutes until my birthday, and we are at Hottie's Bar and Restaurant. So, yeah, if you've watched my content before, you know this is one of my favorite bars in Isla Verde, and we have made it here, and we ordered some drinks and some fried cheese. So that's what we're going to do. Everyone say hi to my YouTube channel. Hello. All right, so it is birthday morning, and we're in the taxi, and we're going to go to a couple of rum distilleries. It's going to be fun.
Do for the rest of my life. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been amazing, and I've enjoyed it so much. But there's nothing romantic about it. It's hard work. I never worked more in my life, but I guess it keeps me young, and it'll keep me alive for a while. Anyway, it's been 12 years. We started this project in 2011. I incorporated San Juan Artisan Distillers and San Juan Distillers and San Juan Distillers Visitor Center because the government required that each segment of the enterprise have its own corporation because we dealt with three different agencies. In the States, if you're a farmer, you can produce your vodka on your farm and just sell it. You know, I'm processing my corn. You know, but here, you know, things are complicated. But anyway, we kept going and persevered and went forward with it. There was no sugarcane in Puerto Rico available when I started the project. I have been growing sod all my life. I started a landscaping business when I was 17 years old. I lived in Ocean Park at the end of Yardley Place and Ocean Park Beach there, at the end of Yardley, in a big old building my grandmother owned there. I was born in Miami, and my dad decided to return to Puerto Rico, his island, when I was 8 years old, so I've been here all my life. And I started the landscaping business because things at home where my dad was completely broke. And he said, dude, you're on your own. So fresh out of high school, I started Jardín Vida Verde. It was a garden center in McCleary and Los Baños. That corner there was a 200 square meter garden center. And I did that because I wanted to, whenever the waves got good, I wanted to shut down the business and go surfing whenever the waves were good. That's how a 17-year-old starts a business. And people started calling Pepe, and my family knows everybody, and everybody knows my family in Puerto Rico. So everybody wanted to help me. So business started snowballing. Then I bought my first farm in Doral, and my second farm here in Doral, and I bought this farm in '92. And then I sold the two farms in Doral 10 times what I paid for in 87, 86. And then I bought a big farm in Barceloneta, in El Barrio Sabana Hoyos. It was 100 acres planted in sod and plants and trees and palms. And the construction industry was super booming in that era. It was a golden economic era of Puerto Rico when it was a perfect situation. The banks had like, all the money in the world, and we had all these pharmaceutical entities and technological factories in Puerto Rico that employed very, very high paying jobs. So Puerto Rico had reached its plateau. All of a sudden, the rug was pulled from under us, and we haven't been able to recover since. Right now, there's an economic boom going on thanks to the new law 2022. I think it's called the 60 law 60 now, and that has infused a lot of great people with geniuses in their businesses, and has injected a lot of positive energy to Puerto Rico. So I'm super excited with what's happening. So going back to the distillery, there was a problem in Puerto Rico, the sugarcane industry, which Puerto Rico was the 5th largest producer of sugarcane in the world, and since the 20s up to the 70s. And Brazil started getting into the market, Central America, Mexico, Philippines, and all these countries that, they don't have social security, they don't have benefits for employees, they don't have anything. People cut sugarcane there barefoot. So there was no way of competing with them. So our price was higher. Our manufacturing price was higher than their sale price. So the whole industry collapsed in Puerto Rico. We had 25 sugarcane mills. We had almost 400,000 acres planted in sugarcane throughout the island, mostly in the north coast and all the north coast. And everything collapsed. The government made a bailout to the rich families of Puerto Rico that owned the sugarcane mills. That always happens. So they got their money. The government bought everything and bailed the people who put them in power. And basically, they bankrupted the whole thing because the government, is not designed to run businesses. So that disappeared completely. I feel they could have created a technology to create ethanol if we had all that sugarcane planted and we had the mills and we had anything. Instead of doing sugar, let's do ethanol. We import everything, but there's important people that import our petroleum and the refinery business, and they're big boys. So they simply shut down the whole thing, and it was gone. So I collected 25 pieces of sugarcane from 2 agronomists from the Department of Agriculture of Puerto Rico. 5 different varieties that are Puerto Rican varieties. Puerto Rico had the most qualified, most professional, most advanced sugarcane development academia and sugar academia in Puerto Rico. There was a program in the University of Rio Piedras in Puerto Rico that you could go to the pilot plant, Planta de Ron Piloto, in the University of Rio Piedras, and you could go study and make a bachelor's degree in chemistry, specialized in making rum. So
that's right in front of the botanical garden, right?
Yeah. So that was obviously shut down when the sugarcane industry disappeared and the big rum company surged. It wasn't convenient to have this thing still going. Didn't make much sense. And so that was completely shut down and everything was shut down. So going back to the sugarcane, we started propagating and I started building the project in 2012. We started building the distillery and reinventing this site. So I started planting sugarcane with the 25 pieces of sugarcane that turned into a quarter of an acre. That quarter of an acre turned into 3 acres. Those 3 acres turned into 15 acres, and then I planted 100 acres with that. And that took 4 years. And it took me 4 years to get the permits and finish the building and installing the distillery and doing everything. So everything was perfect. Everything was perfect timing. I assumed it was going to take me 4 years to get everything together and have the stock of the sugarcane. We were to inaugurate the project in December of 17. And in September, we had Hurricane Maria that came over here. It passed over us and completely destroyed our sugarcane crop. We have 14 acres here. There's 4 acres that is our industrial site, where we have our manufacturing site, where we have our distillery. We have our aging bodega here. We have our sugarcane mill in the back. Our employees' parking lot that doubles up as a special activities area to do stuff there, like parties and stuff. And so we have 10 acres planted in sugarcane here, and then we had 70 acres planted in a farm near Vega Baja that is bordered by Rio Sibuco. It's one of the largest rivers in Puerto Rico, Rio Sibuco, and one of the most dangerous and powerful rivers in the island. So we had a 15 to 20 feet surge of the river, and it went over the sugarcane, and Everything was green and beautiful. It was the first cut we were going to make, and that was completely devastated. We didn't know what to do. Here, this was like a, were you here for Maria? Well, this was like a war-torn area. It was like a disaster. You've seen the hurricane in Fort Myers and
Yep.
all, exactly the same thing. It's total devastation. It's something really sad. That set us back heavily. So I had to reinvent myself and create something because I had this investment made and I had put all this work and effort. And while we cleaned up all the debris from the sugarcane fields, we had to cut everything and take all the trash out. There were trees, there were cars, it was a disaster. We had to clean everything up. We still had the plant and the roots, so we basically cleaned everything up, took out all the debris, and then we fertilized, and then it started coming up again. Then we started distilling from Pepon in 2019, and we launched it in 2020. But I needed to do something in 2018, so 3 days after the hurricane, I went into my lab, and I saw these 3 spikes, 3 nails, big nails, that we had found in our farm in Vega Baja, that were part of the train. They were the spikes that held the rails of the train that circled Puerto Rico, transporting since the 20s all the way to the 70s or 60s, sugarcane to the sugarcane mills. And they added, it was so successful, and it was such a brilliant idea, that they added merchandise carts to it, and they also added passenger carts. So it was a full working train. There were stations in every town. Okay, we're getting to Vega Baja, and then people would hop on, and it was. Right now, the value of that would be priceless. But we decided to, when the sugarcane industry went away, they decided to do away with the train as well. Because we had, we wanted expressways, and we wanted to sell cars, and we wanted to sell gasoline. So, the interest was in selling cement and building highways. And one thing, my feeling is that one thing doesn't go against the other. You can have the highway, and you can have the little train going around. Imagine if you want to go to Rincon and you just hop on here and you end up in Rincon.
Train 100%.
It'd be beautiful. And it could be the most important tourist attraction in Puerto Rico. But it disappeared completely. People who were bordering the train way rails, it was abandoned for 30 years, so they extended their fences and they usurped that land. So everybody expanded their piece of land for free, and the government didn't do anything about that. Anyway, confronting the necessity that I needed to do something in order to generate some sort of cash flow, I walked into the laboratory, as I said, and I saw the tres clavos, the 3 spikes that belong to the train. And I looked up and I saw these roncaña. Roncaña is our local moonshine. That is a tradition in Puerto Rico. We've been making moonshine since ever. The same as in the States. The folks in the mountains, they make their own moonshine and stuff. And in Puerto Rico, they cure it with any fruit. They didn't care what fruit they had. They're not going to go to, let's go to Carolina, where they lived in Barranquitas, to go get coconuts, because they had coconuts in Carolina. They would put mangoes, because all you needed was some sort of fruit. So it's like a geographic map of Puerto Rico. In Carolina, they would cure it with coconut, because it was our, it was a black colony, basically. It was where, Carolina, the Boca de Cangrejos, the Piñones area, which is so popular right now for surfing, and the food is amazing and all that. But that is where our black community basically was based, and they planted coconut because coconuts grew well there. So they made their rum, and they cured their rums there. In Mayagüez is famous for mangoes. Mangoes are super famous in Mayagüez. So they would, you go to Rincon and you see all the mangoes in the floor. You just get off the car and you can grab 100 mangoes that are planted in the street. So people would use mangoes in Mayagüez, and the pineapples are grown in the north coast of Puerto Rico, Manatí, Barceloneta. There's 2,500 acres or more, or 5,000 acres. So they would cure it with pineapple. People from the mountain, they would cure it with ginger. They would cure it with passion fruit and other fruits that they had, whatever they had available. But our selection of tres clavos, which is the name I gave to our roncaña, which is inspired in the Puerto Rican tradition of roncaña, but we're making it in a more contemporary way. It's a very safe rum that you're not going to get poisoned with. For starters, and we only use Puerto Rican fruits that we buy from Puerto Rican farmers because we're 100% committed to buying stuff grown in Puerto Rico and helping the Puerto Rican economy, buying stuff that is made in the island. Because we need to create a conscience of consuming what Puerto Rico produces, so these people that you're giving jobs to and are working can go to buy their whatever they want, you know, and their life prospers. So that has been my commitment. It cost me 3 times to use a fruit grown in Puerto Rico than buying frozen fruit in a bag from Costa Rica. And besides that, it doesn't taste the same. Puerto Rican fruits are amazing. Our mangoes are the best in the world. Our aguacates are the best in the world. I know what the land has here, but it has such incredible flavor. And I imagine it has to do with agricultural prices. In other countries, they're just, you know, fertilizing the crap out of the fruit, and they make it bloom, and they make, in 10 seconds you have a mango this big, but it doesn't taste like mango. So we started selling Tres Clavos, which we have 6 or 7 flavors, and basically it is only rum and the fresh fruit and a tiny amount of sugar, organic brown sugar that we add. Recipe, for example, Billy de Canepa, which is, we're the first producers of Billy de Canepa, which is a traditional rum infusion from Vieques, the island of Vieques. Vieques is famous for its Billy. And Ponce as well. The southern part of Puerto Rico has thousands of wild Canepa trees. And you see them selling them in the streets when you go to Ponce during the Canepa season that starts in July, August. So the recipe for that, when I Googled it, because I simply Googled how to make Billy de Canepa and Google, and you get 10 recipes. And it said to add 6 ounces of sugar to a bottle, a 25-ounce bottle. And you know, we add less than 3/4 of an ounce maybe of organic brown sugar just to kill the edge a little bit. We want our Tres Clavos to taste like rum, that you can feel the rum and that you can feel the fruit. Doesn't have additional, you know, any kind of preservatives, no colorings added, no preservatives, nothing added. It's all natural, except coconut. That we don't produce coconut in Puerto Rico, so we buy organic coconut from Indonesia, and it's an amazing coconut.
Well, I don't eat it, so you're good.
Yep. Anyway, we planted. We have about 250 coconut palms planted here, and we hope to be cultivating our own coconut. We're looking at these machines that will peel the coconut and take the meat out and cut it into diced cubes, and hopefully we'll be producing our own coconut. We're also planting other fruits here, like jovillo. Jovillo is like a miniature jovo, and it's an amazing local fruit. But basically that's it. Right now, this, you know, that reinvention of my reinvention after I started my second career, basically Tres Clavos is the one who's paying the bills right now. We're selling 80% of our sales is that stuff. They have it at the duty-free store in the airport, and I mean, we can't produce enough. They're always putting orders and orders and orders. Because it's a beautiful product. You're gonna see it. I don't know if you're familiar with Tres Clavos, but you'll see it. It's a gorgeous product. It's a beautiful gift. So people take, you know, and it's wholesome. It has 30% alcohol, so it's not, you know, a watery thing. It's not a little juice. It's you know, if you have 3 or 4 shots of the stuff, you're gonna feel it. So I think we're ready to go. You know, any of these churches and the plaza and the mayor's office and that concept could be anywhere in Spain. This is where Puerto Ricans used to live. We were the poorhouse of the Caribbean back in the 30s, and people would make their homes from the fronds of palm trees. So we had a hurricane called San Juan in 2018 that killed over 3,000 people, and the government then said we need to build in cement. And this house you see here was you know, this is like from the 70s, but this bunker was the reaction to that disaster that occurred, and the economy started to progress. So people started to replace these huts made from palm fronds with solid concrete. And these are Miami storm shutters that you lock, and you know, nothing goes through that. We have to deal with the TTB, and the TTB doesn't understand what roncaña is, so we have to hide it somewhere around there and mention it. But this is basically the same as Puerto Rican moonshine. The only thing it's not done illegally, back doors.
This here is a picture of the current farm we're standing on. So this house right here, that's where we're speaking right now. It's the traditional Peruvian house.
when we had Maria destroyed us, we couldn't produce alcohol. So we developed a relationship with a distillery in the Dominican Republic that makes rum from sugarcane juice. But they make a super light rum. So it's like it would be like the traditional very light rum that is perfect for making using a clean base to do tres clavos. So that was the only way we could start to sell and do something. Then we started to add Ron Pepon to give it more depth and some of our stuff. So this here is a blend of column and pot still. Because our distillery, we only have pot stills. It's 100% pot still. We have 2 French cognac Charentay style pot stills. It's a very long process, and it's a very slow process. But I wanted to do something unique and something that the other fellows in Puerto Rico weren't doing. And we continue, we're going forward, and people love our rums, and we're coming out this year with 2 or 3 new expressions and variations. This is aged up to from 24 to 36 months, and this age is nice because you still can feel the aroma, the intensity of the sugarcane juice rum, which has some funkiness. You can feel the grassy notes, you can feel the sugarcane juice, and something that you won't feel in other ultra light rums that are in the market available. And this product is super interesting because it has a great price point. This is aged for 36 months, and it's perfect. Like if you want to have a rum and coke, I love to have a rum and coke once in a while. So this mixes super well with a splash of coke, and I absolutely love it. This will not mix well with Coca-Cola, and this won't mix with Coca-Cola, but this you can make the best lime daiquiri in the world with this rum. It's a perfect match. And this you can drink straight, just as in a snifter. It's our employees parking, but my idea is that I can make a party here, and I can put like some food trucks in the back.
Yeah.
I can bring in farmers with their agro products in the front, and we can have like a family event and nice scene with a little bit of live music. And the farmers can sell the food to the food trucks, and you can have from the farm to the table prepared in the site. So, and you can also buy stuff from the farmers. We haven't had an opportunity to do it. It's just been hectic. Let's head this way. Bueno, I'm going to be leaving.
Okay, come inside. Make your way inside. Be careful with the barrels.
Can we put a hammock in here and I'll just stay the rest of the time?
You'll stay without us.
You might be drunk if you stay in here long enough.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the purpose though.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
You can get drunk for your
Well, you're inhaling it and it goes to your...
Okay, so you can appreciate the smells of the aging bodega. That's the alcohol in the air. That's the constant evaporation that's emanating from the barrels. It's very typical in all aging warehouses, especially in the tropics or the Caribbean, where there's more humidity, the temperatures are higher. So there's a lot more evaporation occurring. So you're losing whatever's inside the barrel much faster than cooler climates. So you'll have like a 10% evaporation rate per year. So you're losing that. That's evaporating. That's the main reason why aged liquors are more expensive. That's the main reason.
Yeah, but that's the tax that you pay him.
Exactly. The annual share. Exactly. The annual share. So yes, we have around 700 barrels here. They are all American oak barrels. They're all sourced from Brown-Forman Jack Daniels. So they were all used to make Jack Daniels. They're pretty young barrels, relatively young compared to the ones used by the other big rum companies and big distilleries. And I say that because for making whiskey, you need new American oak barrels to make the whiskey. So when you're gonna keep making new whiskey, you need to keep buying new or building new barrels to make your whiskey. So you need to sell the used barrels, and despite that, they're relatively young. But for rum production or any other type of aging liquor, you can keep using them for as long as possible and keep extracting the flavor. So yeah, we have different types of rums here. We have the rums that we make from sugarcane juice, from molasses as well. And we also have some rums which we import from the Dominican Republic, sugarcane juice rums and molasses rums as well. Each barrel is identified by the number, the date that it was filled, and the percentage of alcohol. And we have plans to keep expanding the warehousing. As you can see, we're running out of space. So any questions so far on the aging? Closer to the ones over there.
Yeah, no, you can touch it. Just watch where you step.
We harvest either by hand or by harvester, sugarcane harvester. And once we harvest, we load the sugarcane on wagons and take them to the mill. And they start growing back all by themselves. So we'll just add fertilizer. We'll spruce up the ground a bit with some the tractors, and they just grow back up. They're almost like a weed. So they don't need too much maintenance. A seed as well. You just plant it on the ground sideways. You plant it laying down, and you cover it, and it sprouts out of these pods here. You got every few rings, you got a sprout that'll come out of there, and it's almost weed-like. It takes life on its own.
How long does it take to mature?
So it's around 8 months.
Okay.
It's usually when we'll want to harvest. But it can take longer. I mean, 12 months, 14 months. They'll just dry up a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they fall down, and when they fall down to the ground, they just grow back out of those sprouts.
Right.
They just grow back up.
So do you harvest based on the time specifically or on the height?
Timing and the height can affect as well. But it depends on fertilization, the time of the year, how much water it's got. So it's a bit of combination of both, but around the 8-month mark, 8 to 10 months. These are all the equipment we use for harvesting. Those are the wagons for load the sugarcane. And the old irrigation system we use. A boom tractor we use to grab the sugarcane, load it on the wagon. The sugarcane harvester. A first generation chemical sugarcane harvester. It has around 30 years old. We bought from Louisiana farm. And we bring the sugarcane here on the wagon. And with the boom tractor, we load the sugarcane on the table. And on the bridge, my employees will load the sugarcane on the conveyor. That will be passed through the defibrillator, which will turn it into a mulch, which will break up all the sugarcane and turn it into a mulch, basically. And that'll fall on the elevator conveyor and make its way up towards the mill. So, we can take a closer look at the mill. You can follow this way. There. Watch your step with the pipes, the pumps. So this is our sugarcane mill, which we use for extracting the juice. We want to extract the juice from the sugarcane plant. And once we do that, we will transfer that for fermentation. So this conveyor will transport the sugarcane mulch, and those big rolls there will extract the juice from the mulch. It'll fall down to the basin, makes its way towards the first tank over there, passes through a filtration, top, second tank, and then we pump it into the distillery. It gets the last filtration in those two soft filters there, those canisters there. So the bagasse will be what's left over. It'll go out through the back, and we'll load it on some wagons, and we'll use that as a fertilizer. Or it has also some industrial purposes, either for energy production or for cattle feed. So some distilleries burn it in their boiler room, and they use it as a source of energy. So we're currently not using it. So it's fresh unpasteurized juice, which we transfer to our fermenters here. And we will add yeast and nutrients, and we'll leave the fermenting for 5 to 6 days. So when we add the yeast to the juice, the yeast will by itself will wake up and it'll start consuming the sugars and transforming them into alcohols. Eventually the yeast dies out because there's so much alcohol in the juice that the fermentation stops. And when that happens, we transfer for distillation. So any questions on fermentation? Once that fermentation is done, we transfer here. We start to heat it up in here. There's a copper pot in here. It's so isolated to keep the heat trapped in. That one's called evaporation. The first thing that starts evaporating is the alcohol. And since it's a batch production, you get different types of alcohol. Heats the pot. And then it evaporates and it goes into a column. So you have your column here as opposed to these pots. So each window is a chamber, and the alcohol is getting lighter as it's making its way up. Condensing, we're distilling, condensing until it gets to the top, and condensing in the stainless steel condenser here. Here we segregate the different types of alcohols, the heads, the product, and the tails. So we use this valve here. We take our samples here. You see where we use our senses, smell, taste, feel, to see how's it going, and when do we do the cuts. So it's a bit of an art. So any questions so far on this station? Any other questions? We have a very small scale and an artisanal production. So we will, for our fruit rums, we locally source our fruit. We cut and dice the fruit on the tables. We weigh them and we put them by hand in the bottle. After that, that's our semi-automatic bottler. The tank at the back are our blending tanks where we prepare our formulas, we dilute, and we add our extracts for our fruit rums. We add the rums to the bottles, and then we cap them, and then we label them. That's our semi-automatic labeling unit there. We label at the top, we put a tamper evidence that indicates if it's been tampered with or opened, and then we put them in the box, and then we store them in the bonded warehouse. It has a lot of sensory experience. It reminds me a bit of a cognac. So I hope you enjoy it.
And how many years you said again? 2 years. She started throwing up. And I had the
So we're making a little bit of a stop here in the middle of our day between our two rum distilleries. We just left Ron Pepon, and we're heading over to Barrilito, but we stopped at the Oasis, and we're gonna get some dinner, some lunch. We've made it to Barrilito now, so that's where we are, and we're going to do a mixology tour and a tour about rum.
Hacienda that was established back in 1787 by a Spanish privateer named Fernando Fernandez, and here's where it connects with the history rum. Basically, wherever there's a big production of sugar, very likely there's going to be rum. In that process of refining sugar, you also end up with molasses as a byproduct. the sugar is going to be sold, but that surplus of molasses they end up with, for the most part, they're going to use to ferment, distill, and make rum. And since that time, rum has been produced here, but initially more like a moonshine style for their own consumption. It was in the third generation of the family with Pedro Fernandez who created Ron del Barrilito as we know it today. And his actual inspiration to make it was cognac. And the reason why is because when he was young, around 1860s, he wanted to pursue a career as an engineer. So his family sent him to France to study. And while staying in France, he'll start getting involved into making cognacs. Remember, especially back then, cognacs are considered one of the finest spirits, so he wanted to bring the same quality to Puerto Rico, but with the rum instead. And after graduation, returned to Puerto Rico and created his own rum formula. But initially it was a hobby, so he used to keep that rum in a small cask. And whenever he had visitors, to every guest, he would pour the rum directly from the barrel, like was the brandy or the cognac in the house. And people were really impressed, so whenever they will visit him again, first thing they will start asking around is like, hey Pedro, do you still have Ron del Barrilito, which means rum from the small barrel. That's actually where the name comes from. So people kept asking so much about it that eventually he got stuck with the name, and by 1880 he registered the brand and launched it commercially. So we have been making a rum ever since then. By now we have 144 years making the same place in here. Now here you can see some historical landmarks in here. This is such an old property here. The tower behind me here used to be the original windmill, used to crush and grind sugarcane. Built in 1827. Eventually sugar business was abandoned here, and at one point they took the tower and converted it into an office. Which, by the way, that was our office until like 5 years ago. So don't fool yourself, that thing has Wi-Fi, air conditioner, so it's well updated. And we still use it as a small conference room. Now over there, the little workshop, that's the Cooper station, so that's where they fix barrels, maintenance, recycle wood. Those barrels are made of American white oak, but in our case, instead of buying them from Kentucky or Bourbon country, we actually imported them from Spain. They were used previously for aging oloroso sherry wine. And that sherry wine that is absorbed by the wood is what gives a rum that distinctive flavor. A little bit sweeter. That was the influence of Pedro, and it's fascinating because it's really rare to find rums that are fully aged in sherry cask. Most of them are aged in bourbon barrels, so definitely so makes rum a little bit different compared to other rums produced here in Puerto Rico. And in average, we reuse them like 5 times in a lifespan of about 30 years or so. Water, very strong, around 89% of alcohol. It's like having a blank canvas in which then inside we paint our own art. And we do everything else. We're gonna do the aging, the blending, and even bottling. We do that on site here as well. And each one of these tanks has a capacity for about 24,000 gallons. They bottle like twice a month, and per year in average they produce like 200,000 bottles a year. Which is pretty good, but compared to the big brands, it's still quite small. Here, for example, you can see some of our most common products. The latest thing we came up with is to start making our own coquito, since October last year. If you've never had this coquito before, it's pretty amazing. So once we're done with the tour in the gift shop, they're giving samples. So don't leave without trying because it's pretty amazing. And then we have our 2 primary rums, Barrilito 2 stars and the 3 stars. It's actually the same formula, but it changes how long they were aged. And our main product, our signature rum, is the 3 stars. If anybody knows Ron del Barrilito, very likely it's because of this one. This is a blend of rum aging between 6 to 10 years old. Usually it's more intended as a sipping rum. Typically we recommend more like on the rocks, neat. If you like spirit-forward cocktails like old fashions, Manhattans, Negronis, those type of cocktails goes amazing as well with the 3 stars. Or if you want those classic cocktails like daiquiris or rum sour, if you want to give it a little extra flavor, definitely the 3 star will give an upgrade to those other cocktails as well. 2 stars, on the other hand, is ageless, 3 to 5 years in the blend. So it's a bit more of an affordable version of the 3 star that you can use for everyday mixing as well. I love it. I guess I'm talking to everybody. The ethanol, so you can make an extraction of those flavors, which is what you see here, for example, a vanilla extraction, dry fruit extractions, and this is a botanical extraction. So once we have this extractions ready, then we focus on the big tank over there. And then according to the formula, they're going to fill most of that tank with their ethanol, and then from this maceration, they're going to add a little bit of each with the rest of the ethanol, simply just to give a little hint to enhance certain specific notes we want to control in the final flavor profile. And once we do that initial mix, then we're going to use the mineralized water to cut down the alcohol content to about 50% of alcohol, and that's when finally we're going to fill the barrels and start aging the rum. From the barrels, you can see even the date since when they're actually aging. There's a little bit of everything here. You have rums like, for example, 2023, 2018. Down here you see 79, 82. On this other side you see 1990, 1992, 2024. There's a little bit of everything. Now, very important also is that rum in the barrel per se, they don't have any specific purpose, or really depends what they need at the moment. Now, when you're aging rums or whiskeys, general rule is the longer you age them in the barrel, the darker, smoother, more complex flavors they're going to develop, which, yes, but there's also going to be other factors that fluctuates all year round, like temperature, humidity, weather change, and that makes that at the end of the day, there's not a single barrel here to exactly the same. In order for us to achieve consistency, we have to blend a couple barrels together. And it's a job of our master blender to get into these warehouses to collect samples out of the barrels, make some chemical analysis, but for the most part, like a wine sommelier is gonna taste them and have to determine which are the barrels that develop the flavors that I need. So when I mix them together, it matches the flavor profile of that product I need to make that month. That's basically what I meant when I mentioned like a Barrilito 3 stars is in average a blend of rum aging between 6 to 10 years old. It's kind of like a mix of science and art at the same time. It's what makes this process really fascinating. And also, as you might notice, it's a very old building here. So this was designed around 1940, so a forklift doesn't fit in here. They still have to bring the barrels up and down by pulleys and ropes. So yeah, it's a lot of work just to move barrels around here. So they use a system of electric pumps and a hose to fill in and drain the barrels. So for example, you drain the rum from these barrels and into the blending area, and only when the barrel's empty, that's when they're gonna take it down with the pulleys and ropes. And also, if you're wondering which is our oldest barrel here, it's this one right here in the middle. Aging since 1952. This rum was created by the son of our founder. His name was Edmundo. And he created with the hope one day he will use to celebrate independence for Puerto Rico, but that same year is also when the Commonwealth was established, so he never got the chance to see independence happen. He said in his last goal that only if Puerto Rico becomes an independent country, we're supposed to take it to the town square of this town, Bayamon, and share with everybody who wants to celebrate. If it doesn't evaporate first, so we'll see what happens first. But it's a pretty cool piece of our history here. So my friends, at the moment, any questions so far? So here we're gonna start with a classic cocktail, a twist. We're gonna make an old-fashioned. Usually it's made with bourbon, but we're in Puerto Rico, so we're gonna be using rum instead. So it's gonna be an interesting twist of the classic old-fashioned. Now, my friends, when we go to a bar and ask for an old-fashioned, usually you're gonna see the bartender building the cocktail here. So this is your mixing glass. We're gonna build it here, and then you're gonna strain it into the small plastic cup you have on your right side, right? So my first recommendation for the moment, take out the strainer and you can put it next to it, alright? Another very important tool, so this is your measuring tool, is you're gonna use to know exactly how much you're adding on the different ingredients. So it has two sides. The big side, when you fill all the way to the top, to the rim, it's gonna look like it's gonna spill out. That makes 2 ounces of liquid. If you look inside, there's one single line that indicates 1.5 ounces. Then when you flip it, the small side makes 1 ounce when you completely fill it up. And there's 2 lines, 3/4 of an ounce and 1/2 ounce. So you can guide yourself by those, right? So in here, we're gonna be starting, each one of you has a bottle of Barrilito 3 stars. So we're gonna add 2 ounces of Barrilito 3 stars into the mixing. Because now you're gonna add the rum. So here's your bottle of rum. You're gonna be adding 2 ounces, so all the way to the top, to the rim. No.
All the way, like if it's about no, that you gotta fulfill it.
All right, so all the way to the top, like you're not working tomorrow.
There you go.
Exactly, and then you pour it inside the glass. There you go. And the last one, there you go. Very good. Very nice. So, now my friends, so we added the rum. Next ingredients that we're going to be using are these tiny bottles in here. These are bitters. Usually what we find as Angostura, that's the most common brand, but nowadays it's like 50 other brands, 45 different flavors. You can actually play with that as well. In this particular case, I have chocolate bitters and orange bitters. We're going to use both. We're going to be adding 3 dashes of each. One batch, basically you take down, upside down the bottle and just give it like 1, 2, 3 splash directly into your mixing glass. So I return this to you. So you're going to be adding 3 dashes of each. 3 dashes of chocolate bitters. Alright, exactly, just like that. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, switch the bottles. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Alright. So now my friends, we added the rum and the bitters. Last ingredient we need for an old fashioned is a little bit of simple syrup, which is this bottle right here. This is a brown sugar simple syrup. And we're going to be using just a little bit. So from the small side, we're going to be adding 1/2 ounce. Right? So when you flip it, the small side, the first line. Yes. The first line to the bottom. Okay? Now, in our case, we like to make the simple syrup with brown sugar because it gives more like a molasses kind of flavor to it. So it complements really well the flavor of the rum. But the good thing about simple syrup is that you can make it whatever you like. You can give different flavors as well.
All right, so we're making a rum old fashioned.
There you go.
Oh, you guys are on video, like for the whole time. Just wave.
Alright, so my friends, once we have the rum, the bitters, and the simple syrup, that's all you need for an old fashioned. All we need to do now, you have your ice bucket, and you're going to add ice into your mixing glass, and you're going to fill it up, give or take, like halfway. It doesn't have to be very precise. So give or take like halfway of the mixing glass with ice. Okay. Alright, now we're going to show the drink.
Can I get a close-up or you need to
You're going to use your large spoon and you're going to give a good stir around for around 10 to 12 seconds, okay? When you want your teeth with that, it's friction between the ice and the liquid so you can still drink. You don't want to overdo it because you don't want to dilute it that much either. So after 10 12 seconds, that's enough. Alright? And then, now what we're going to do, we're going to use the strainer. And so for those who never used a strainer before, hear me out. The spring face down, and you're going to place it on top of the mixing glass. Just push it down a little. When you grab it, secure it with your index finger on top, and then you're going to pour the small plastic cup on your right side. Alright? Yeah. Alright, perfect. And then you can pour it there. Like so. There you go. Very nice. Now you look like professional. There you go.
You
Now,
guys want to cheers?
if you like, you can add 1 scoop of fresh ice from the bucket into your cocktail, and then we proceed to garnish. Also, recommendation back at home, if you have the mold for making the big ice cubes or the tears, you can definitely serve it with those in a rock glass elsewhere. I don't have those in here, but you can use a scoop of fresh ice. Now, for garnish, we're going to be using the condiment drink, dehydrated orange, but also put in there a cinnamon stick. Trust me, that cinnamon is going to bring more aroma. And the longer it sits in the cocktail, the more flavors will extract, actually. So you can add 1 orange and a cinnamon stick. So you garnish your cocktail, 1 orange and 1 cinnamon. And then once you're ready for us, now the best part, the drinking. So salud, and cheers. Salud. And salud. And
Salud.
Happy birthday.
Salud, Jeff.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
Good night.
Salud, happy birthday to me.
So it's actually very smooth for an old fashioned. The 3 is a very smooth rum, so it will definitely make a very smooth old fashioned as well. So this is a spirit forward cocktail. Old fashions are great as a before dinner, after dinner, as a night cocktail, lounge cocktail. They're actually great for that. But we're also going to learn how to make different styles of cocktails. So let's imagine now you're in the beach. Probably an old-fashioned, not the type of cocktail you choose for a beach day. You might want something more refreshing and tropical. So that's why we're going to do something different as well. Now for the moment, my friends, you're no longer going to use the mixing glass, the bar spoon, and the strainer. So you can put them together like this, and you can leave it in the corner of your table. So you have less stuff in your way. Right? By the way, guys, if you like the recipe for the old fashioned, here it is. So you can take a picture if you'd like to have the recipe. The piña colada. So we can change that. We can use some lime instead of my recommendation.
Now we're gonna make an Encanto.
Small one to close and shake. Okay. So in the large cup with the shaker, we're going to be adding 2 ounces of Barrilito 3-star. So you can add the rum when ready. So remember, big side all the way to the top. Okay. Good. Perfect. All right. So my friends, once we add the rum, the next ingredients that we're going to be adding, we're going to be these 2. So this bottle here, this is the mango syrup, and the other ingredient we're going to be using is this one. This is lime juice. We're going to be adding 1 ounce of each. So 1 ounce of lime juice and 1 ounce of the mango syrup. All right? So from the small side all the way to the top. So move this in here. Okay. All right. No. You have to, there you go. All the way to the top. Alright, so 1 ounce of lime juice and 1 ounce of mango syrup. Perfect. All right. So my friends, actually, now you added the rum, you have the lime juice and the mango syrup. That's all the ingredients you need. All we need to do now is we're gonna add ice and prepare to shake. Okay. So the shaker, we're gonna fill it up, give or take like half an inch, okay? When you shake it, you want to put enough ice, so you want to leave some space, so you're able to close it. There you go. There you go. And just in case, for those that came here before, when you close it, you do a little bit of an angle like this, you close it, and then you shake, okay? So you do the shake, alright? There you go. Perfect. And once you find it very cold, that means that it's ready. We're gonna open it up, and you're gonna pour it off in your large plastic cup with ice and everything. There you go. Very nice.
That mango is good. The mango is good.
So now, I'm gonna make adding some garlic to the coconut oil, so I'll be back in a wrap.
You shouldn't say my that was there, you just drop everything into the.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's wrong with the color?
Take a phone call.
This is workaholic.
Right.
He does need.
Sure.
We're gonna do this one on the video though, so you can do it over here. What is this, whipped cream?
Basically like a coconut whipped cream.
Coconut whipped cream.
Yep.
It's coconut whipped cream.
All right, and now my friends, once you're ready, and then start the drinking. Look here.
Delicious. There's the recipe for the Encanto, which we just finished. Quite nice. Mango puree, lime juice, rum, and coconut foam.
the coconut foam.
So basically the mixture, the base is egg whites, and then you put the flavor you like. In this case, cream of coconut. You add equal parts, and then you close it, insert a CO2 cartridge in here, put in the fridge, and it's ready to go. Cocktail that we're gonna be making here is the national cocktail of Puerto Rico, which is the piña colada. But we're gonna make it the original way, and shake it instead of frozen. That makes a big difference. Way better than the frozen one. Yes. Preserve the flavors, doesn't work down as fast, and you don't get brain freeze. It's a big plus.
We were at a bar last night, and they told Ashley that doesn't exist in Puerto Rico.
In this case, we're going to be using the last remaining shakers for this one. So in your case, instead of the exactly, instead of coconut, if you like, you can add some
Or do what you want to do, not to straight Barrilito.
I said, I'll make a cocktail.
So I feel like Tom should just get a 5-star and give him the bottle and call it good.
That's funny.
So if you like, you can substitute the coconut cream with some of the
Yeah, I forgot to tell. I told Pepon that I had an allergy to coconut. I didn't tell Barrilito about it. I was like, shit. By the way, Todd, I'm sorry, because I told Pepon about.
We're going to add 2 ounces in the large cup of the shaker of Barrilito 3 stars. Okay, so we're going to add the 2 ounces. The rum. So remember the big side, all the way to the top.
This is 6 ounces. Yeah.
Very nice. Perfect. So now we add the rum. Next ingredient that we're gonna be adding is gonna be, we have cream of coconut here. So you're gonna be adding 2 ounces. The big side all the way to the top. If you'd like a little bit less, you can add 1.5 ounces from the same side. If you'd like a little less sweet.
Todd, I recommend using 1.5 ounces instead of 2.
Keep it light.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side.
You can add 2 ounces or 1.5 if you'd like.
In case you guys were wondering, Todd's very allergic to coconut, so he's not having any of this.
Okay, so we're gonna be adding. Okay, thank you. Perfect.
2 hands and 3 drinks.
There you go.
You don't drink that old fashioned.
That's why you came here for.
Just slam the old fashioned real quick and then.
I can solve this problem.
I already-
I got
So after we're done with this drink, we can practice another one, right?
At home.
We can make one up.
My friends, after we add the cream of coconut, the last ingredient you need is pineapple juice. So for pineapple juice, you're gonna be adding 4 ounces. So it's gonna be the big side twice. Two times. Alright.
I was saying that, you said 2 leaves. You said 2, for real?
No, this is just an extra old fashioned.
Yeah, that's pure soy.
4 ounces of pineapple juice.
I don't know what was going on.
4 ounces of juice.
Hey, I need that in the house. I will put that on everything.
The foam, yeah. Wait, I don't even ice after that?
And after that, you're gonna add ice, and just as you did with the Irish cocktail, you add ice, we close, and we're ready to go. There you go. Give it a good shake. Okay, and once you find it very cold, and then you got it around.
Keep the ice.
There you go. Give it a good shake, and then put it
I'm not even on
All right. Now, and you're gonna pour in the last plastic and everything. And then as a garnish, my recommendation will be the dehydrated pineapples. You can use as a garnish, but also dumping their cinnamon stick. Trust me, go ahead and cinnamon stick.
I feel like it also needs coconut foam as a garnish.
I agree. Not in this one, but when you can make your own variations. The recipes are not written in stone.
I feel like you have extra foam. We can.
Oh, excuse me.
There's gonna be another major room in the next session, so they're gonna need that.
All right, so that is the mixology class. We've made a pina colada, the Encanto, and a rum old fashioned. It's been amazing. What do you guys think?
Amen. So good.
Yeah. Muy bien. That sounds good. I don't know. Do you guys speak Spanish?
We just said
Okay.
Un poquito español.
Did not.
Yeah, see, that sounds exactly right to me. Very nicely done. And yeah, so next up is Hottie's Bar and Grill, where we're gonna get real drunk. Well, we had a successful night. We did drink quite a bit, and so there's not a lot of video of it because we were rowdy. I'll just say that. But now we're here at the Bistro Cafe. We just had breakfast, and we're gonna head over to Old San Juan before flying back in about 4 hours. All right, so here we are at Plaza Cologne. We're waiting for an Uber. We're gonna head back to my apartment, and then we're gonna go for a quick swim, and then take showers and crap like that, and head to the airport. And that will be the end of the weekend. So what I'm gonna do though, just so you guys have some real value here at the end of the video, is I'm going to talk you through the process of how you check into the airport, because the airport in Old San Juan, or I mean in San Juan, is a little bit complicated. There's a few extra steps, and so make sure you stick around for that. All right, so we're walking in here, and the first thing you have to do when you get to the airport is you have to go through the USDA check and have your baggage scanned. So we're gonna do that now. Once you go through the USDA and have your baggage checked, they'll put a sticker on it, and that just means that you are able to go through and check your bags. And then you're going to go over to your gate, to whatever agent, like whatever ticketing agent that you need, and get your bags checked. I don't have any checked bags because I commute a lot, so I just go with a travel bag. But then after that, you're going to get in this line and go through TSA, regular security. The main wrinkle, though, is just if you don't get your stickers on your bags, you can't check your bags, and they'll send you back to rescan them beforehand. So anyway, that is all I got to say about that. So one of the perks of flying a lot is you are frequently upgraded to first class, which is what just happened to me here. So Tia and I are flying first class, which means we're gonna get a meal. It means that we're gonna have more comfortable seats. So I highly recommend getting a specific plane, airline, and sticking with it. I fly Delta, that's what I do.